Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another Sunday episode, everyone. Yes, we're going to dive into this a little bit more today. All right, and so let me go ahead and get the chat going over here. All right, and then do our usual sound check as everybody comes. Yeah, let those notifications go on out. Yes, 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 yes. And so as those notifications go on out, we're going to continue to go ahead and that's right. We're going to go ahead and there we go. Go ahead and do what we normally do to make sure everything is, there we go. All right. And so we are going to dive into the autonomic nervous system a bit more because it is the system that the enemy targets the most. And I remember taking this note. God bringing these notes back to my, right, there you go. Because I was using these, in that last toxic workplace, I started taking a bunch of notes for a time such as this. You see how God does the preparation, right? Because it all leads to re-traumatizing, okay? Re-traumatizing everyone, and how the devil uses dissociation and overwhelming senses, all things that will get an autonomic nervous system response. In particular, the parasympathetic nervous systems. But first and foremost, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know that I stand corrected. I was under the impression that, not assumption, but impression that the parasympathetic nervous system was also known as the peripheral. I stand corrected. Okay, it's not. It's the autonomic nervous system is a component of the peripheral nervous system. Okay, the peripheral nervous system, right, is the external. Okay, and you have your central nervous system, which is protected by organ. That's right, and muscles, organs, bones. Okay, your peripheral nervous system is not protected by bone and muscles and things. So that's why the enemy targets that one. It's because it's more external. It's more easily accessible. And so this is from the NCBI bookshelf. So they're saying that, okay, if the peripheral nervous system, right, the autonomic nervous system, right, is a component of the peripheral nervous system that regulates, your automatic physiological processes, or involuntary, if you will, physiological processes, including the heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and digestion, and other things. And so that's just the general synopsis, if you will. Okay? And so the enemy will target that through the parasympathetic nervous system. So let's go ahead. This is an article by the Cleveland Clinic about the autonomic nervous system. We're going to read it. Okay? Y'all can look this stuff up too. And it has a great, okay? You've got your parasympathetic division and your sympathetic. The parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system is primarily what the devil wants to target, because that's right, he likes to see dilated pupils, right? So let me go ahead and read to you what they've got. It says your autonomic nervous system is a network of nerves throughout your body that control unconscious processes. These are things that happen without you thinking about them, meaning they're automatic, such as breathing and your heart beating. Your autonomic nervous system is always active, even when you're asleep. And it's key to your continued survival. All right, so here's a little overview. All right, again, you all can look this up. This is an article located at the Cleveland Clinic. So your parasympathetics. Many of y'all may have heard me talk about, like that Jezebel case study, what she did. All right. Yeah, the devil needed to put my parasympathetic nervous system into a bit of a slumber. So, yes, let me get this formality out of the way if you don't mind. I just want to get right into it, but I need to get this in here before I'm going to break this down for you all. All right, but I just looked at the clock and realized, oh my goodness, the algorithm. Hold up. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA Let's Just Chat Show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHAAcademybtbw.com. The link to the Academy is always in the video description below for quicker access for you all to check out what we have for you there to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your understanding and patience when we have to do that. All right. And so your parasympathetic nervous system of your autonomic nervous system. The pupils constrict, salivation, airways constrict, heart rate slows, stomach digest, intestine digest, bladder constrict, reproductive system increases blood flow. Okay. Your sympathetic nervous system, its partner, okay, is responsible for these responses. There you go. Where your pupils dilate, your saliva is inhibited, your airways dilate, heart rate increases, stomach inhibits digestion, and then your liver releases glucose, intestine inhibit digestion, kidneys release adrenaline, bladder relaxes, reproductive system decreases blood flow. So now, based on a lot of what God's been revealing to me about me biologically, based on the autonomic nervous system, right? Because there are some things that have been revealed now, how both, okay, the sympathetic and parasympathetic, certain parts were put under a bit of a slumber when I closed that Jezebel case study. For those who want to know exactly what that was all about, that information, the case study results and stuff, I have mentioned it in other live streams and other videos, but the gist of it and the more details are on the Patreon channel. That link is also in the video description below. Because what she tried to do, right, she was underestimating the power of God, and then also failed to remember that I have a master's in forensic toxicology, as if I wasn't going to figure out what she did. Anywho, and so now we understand why, because all of these autonomic nervous system responses are associated with what? Fight or flight, right? Fear. Right? The enemy needs to see people living in fear. Even if we're not living in fear, the enemy wants to see us undergo certain responses so that he can go, okay, it makes the enemy feel better if he can see the appearance of living in fear. Let that sink in. The enemy feels better if he can trick people into giving off the appearance of living in fear. So I now know, because I went through some moments of pupils dilating, saliva being inhibited, not anymore, by the way. And then, right. Now, as far as any release of adrenaline, because we're not addicted to that anyhow, so that was never an issue. And so now, my parasympathetic nervous system, and that part has been awake now for a little while. And so has the sympathetic one. What's happening now is they are rejoining forces. Hello, Chris. Welcome. All right, everybody. So what's happening is those two systems are now, I guess you can say, getting reacquainted. That's the only way I can put it. But I wanted to let y'all know that, because the enemy loves the autonomic nervous system and the responses, because he needs to see people living in fear, or at least giving off the appearance thereof. So basically, what that lets us know now is why some people have been coming in watching some live, not everybody, not all y'all, the Jezebel popping in every once in a while, because the enemy wants to see if I am giving off the appearance of living in fear. Hence the occasional, like we talked about, the occasional delayed response, if you will, because as we are embarking on this, well, we already have embarked on it, but we're putting it into action now, like hot and heavy. And so as the autonomic nervous system does more of its, I guess you could say, repairing, if you will, that God's just making me aware. Whereas, I mean, these things we do without even thinking about it, right? Breathing, our heart rate, things like that. But we are aware of it now. Because when I'm exercising like we're supposed to, I'm making a deliberate and intentional move to make sure that I am getting oxygen to the muscles. But I will sit here and continue to do weights and not breathe, right? It's not going to work. You got to get oxygen to those muscles. And so that lets me know that basically a good bit of all of this has been restored. So the autonomic nervous system manages body processes you don't think about. Well, we do now. Those processes include heartbeat, blood pressure, digestion, and more. So what is the autonomic nervous system? Well, we answered that earlier, but let's see what the Cleveland Clinic describes it as. Your autonomic nervous system is a part of your overall nervous system that controls the automatic functions of your body that you need to survive. Keyword, things that you need to survive. So that would be another reason why the enemy targets the autonomic nervous system, right? Because he knows that that's the system that's going to automatically do things for our survival. I know darn well that Jezebel case study was hoping that, that I would just give up and give in and what? No, not with the power of God. These are processes you don't think about and that your brain manages while you're awake or asleep. So where does the autonomic nervous system fit in the overall structure of the nervous system as a whole. Your overall nervous system includes two main subsystems. So like I said in the beginning, I was under the impression that the parasympathetic nervous system was also known as the peripheral, and so I stand corrected. All right? Yes, that's not correct. I stand corrected. All right, your overall nervous system has two main subsystems. That's your central nervous system, okay, which is includes your brain. Your retina and optic nerve in your eyes are considered part of your brain structure-wise, and the spinal cord, okay? And the central nervous system is protected by bones and organs, or muscles, if you will, tissue, what have you. The peripheral nervous system, this includes every part of your nervous system that isn't your brain and spinal cord. Woo! Right? That's pretty cut and dry. Every part of your nervous system that isn't your brain and spinal cord. Your spinal cord's right here, right? Okay. Your peripheral nervous system also has two subsystems. The somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system includes muscles you can control, plus all the nerves throughout your body that carry information from your senses. That sensory information includes sound, smell, taste, and touch. Vision does not fall under this because the parts of your eyes that manage your sight are part of your brain. So now we know why she took the wine glass and the subconscious area. All right. Autonomic nervous system. Well, as you can see, it didn't work. My subconscious still awake and continued to get awareness. Your autonomic nervous system, this is the part of your nervous system that connects your brain to most of your internal organs. Well now, that just puts a new spin on some stuff. That's right. Yes, giving off the appearance of being afraid, so the enemy wants to see as many as possible showing fear and stress. Absolutely. Because see, as I've got to use myself as an example because it's the only way, because I am learning more about all of this for myself as to why I know she was reliving her trauma by dragging me down those stairs, right? So basically, what she was trying to do is she wanted to put as many of my organs and things like that under a slumber, because the enemy could not put my subconscious back under a cloud of cognitive dissonance. Couldn't do it. So, right, sent that Jezebel across my path, right, and became a case study because I didn't realize there are different flavors of those. Now we know. So, in doing that, wanted to try and put the thing that we need, not just for survival, but to speak, to walk, to lift things, and all of that. Wanted to put it under a cloud of cognitive dissonance, if you will. And so while that only worked partially, though, okay, only worked partially because I'm back now, right? I'm seriously. Because over time, that's right, over time, things started to reconnect, waking up, getting that circulation. And so now we're back to exactly focusing on the internal, and the external will follow. So while that took place, the recovery from that is pretty complete. Okay, just so you all know, the recovery from that is complete. I'm now in that season of self-care, which means because I played sports and I've been an avid exerciser for many years, and so I've had the training, right? Exactly. And I paid attention whenever others had to undergo some form of physical therapy, so we know what to do. That's our self-care. So we are exactly slowly but surely, we are doing our own. One day at a time, God guiding our steps. I asked God, I'm like, okay, God, what today? He's like, okay. And he tells me. And he shows me where on my body I need to kind of like focus. For example, right now he got me, working on them thighs. Because I got the muscle. Yes, I'm reconnected. I was never disconnected. But the thing is, I couldn't feel my muscles for a while. Now I can. Yay! So that was like every little bit of progress, right? And so we doing squats. We out there walking. One day at a time. And so that's what she was trying to, the enemy, and listen, y'all, God's chosen one, we're strong. We're not going to, God said, oh yeah, the enemy tried to set you back. But y'all who have been with us for a while now, when you saw me bouncing back and forth between two hotels, many of y'all didn't know that I had just had that happen to me, and that we carried on anyway. Sure, I could send some things like, okay, I don't know what that's about yet, but we'll find out. And then God reveals more. For example, I'm going to be open and honest with y'all. Some of y'all have heard about this, okay? But I didn't know until I went to go and put, okay, for female, we're not trying to be fresh or anything like that. But this is what basically helped to put the autonomic nervous system, mine, under a little bit of a slumber. Okay? Because I know what the enemy was trying to do because I quit smoking. Okay? And so what he was trying to do, and I have been an increased amount of radio frequency for a short time, but long enough, right? I was exposed to radio frequency for a short time during all of that. And so the enemy knew this. So there's a couple of reasons why the Jezebel did what she did before the actual dragging me down those stairs, right? Okay. So because our bras, those of us who have them, I didn't say that. All right, on the back. Let me show you all. Y'all know what I'm talking about, but some may not, because it's better to have a visual to help put it in perspective. So, I'm not trying to get fresh with y'all. This is just real talk, okay? Come on, we're adults in this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, because this is what happened. Because I remember that brown paper bag that was next to me when I came to. I looked inside and I saw that they had to cut my bra and t-shirt off of me. Well, at least the bra. I'm not sure really about the shirt, but they had to cut it off of me? Why? That was my question. I didn't know the answer yet until I got into the hotel. Until I got everything right. Until I got everything of mine out of there, and I landed here in this city. And I'm in the hotel, right? And we're like, okay, now I go to put this exact one on, by the way, and you see the metal, right? These metal clasps. You can see them. I don't know. Can you see that? The metal clasp there? When you put a bra on and your metal clasp. hooks, if you will, right? Okay, well, for me, on average, I'm usually here on the very first one for best comfort. And so that particular one that I had on at that during that incident, it has three hooks. And the band, it was not elastic. Yeah, I know. I've already said, darn, I chose the wrong one to put on that day. But anyway, because the rest of what I have is all elastic. Because had I had an elastic one on, that this would not have happened, right? Yeah, right. Well, it still could have happened, but it wouldn't have been quite. It would have been less acute than it originally was if it had some wiggle room. But what she did is she took. I always had on the first one. It's like we know ourselves, right? We're creatures of habit. We know. What she did is she unsnapped and she tightened it all the way to as tight as she could on that third one. Because when I put this on, right, I put this on, and as soon as the metal part hit this on the left side, I felt the ping and I went, oh my gosh, that's where that's coming from. Because I remember making note when I saw the bra on that paper bag that it was on the right where they cut it. I could see it was on the third one. And I was like, yeah, I don't ever put it on that. That's way too tight. And so what that did for the amount of time that it was there, it cut into the skin and then into the muscle right there, right? Okay, and then it basically from here down and up, it basically, I guess you could say, what's the best word? It kind of halted normal circulation for a while. Think about that. Yes, over tightened it, basically. There you go. That's a good way to put it. I will be squatting with weights, Chris. For anybody who's wondering that, also, I will be. And the Jezebel, no, she's not physically strong at all. If she was physically strong, then what happened to me would not have been minor. It would have been a bit more severe, but it's not. It's all very minor. She's very, very weak physically. Most of them are. Because they are dissociated. Think about this for a second, okay? Like I have in my notes about how the devil uses thing to get an autonomic nervous system response. Well, the reason it continues to work on the narcs is because they are dissociated in mind, body, and spirit. Well, they're spiritually dead, we know this, but they're not connected, okay, in mind or body. In other words, they themselves, their own autonomic nervous system is hijacked. That's right. And so they, over time, because they're not aware, right? You have to have some awareness. And they have, they're weak physically. They are extremely physically weak because they are dissociated. They are trauma bonded to the world. And so she's, I would say as far as larger, definitely upper body, which is another reason why she did what she did, because knowing that circulation would get a bit altered, right? And then excessive salt being in the system, right? And then water, and then right. So it would give off the appearance of me being bigger than I really am. You see? Because I know that I'm not. But I also know that I got to take accountability for poor dietary choices. And so that's what we're working on now. Because I'm here to tell y'all that the more I'm in here and we got our reflexes back and, oh yeah, I'm going to share a little funny with you on how that happened. Okay. When God, because it was pretty funny. Yep. You get, okay. I was not even aware that that was going to happen, but it let me know, oh, that's awake now. Okay. But I don't recall exactly what it was I was holding. And I don't know if I can mimic it exactly right, but I was holding it and it just went like that. I was like, oh, reflexes are back. Yay. All right. This is what it is. Okay, so you could see the clip. Thank you for letting me know. How many steps that I got? I know the top four, the first were 4, and then I would have had to go, yeah, she would have dragged me like a little more this way. And so around, and then I'm gonna guess at least 12. So 16 steps altogether. Roughly. That's an approximate. I don't know the exact because I didn't count. But right. Well, trauma to the nervous system. Right. But that's why, okay, well, here's the other thing, though, that God brought to my attention, that all of this was acute, meaning minor, right? And so now, the tailbone would take a little bit longer. Well, it's there. We're good. Okay, we're good. We're just doing the self-care there. And God revealed to me that the reason for that is not necessarily from the incident. It's more from the fact that I had been sitting for quite some time in that car to do work for anywhere from 4 to 5 hours at a time. And I wasn't getting as many walks in as I used to. And then, right, all the sitting that I had to do while driving the U-Haul, in my car, back and forth, right? And then the van, right there, very beginning of the recovery process, I did a lot of sitting because I had to drive to go get stuff and get it out of there. You know what I'm saying? Get myself out of there. So I didn't really have a choice. So this naturally is going to take a little bit longer. And then, right, and then the brief ankle thing, we're good, y'all. And so I was sitting again. And then remember, from the hotel back and forth, I was doing a lot more sitting. And so it's like, okay, that's why when God told me to start standing again, and then when the ankle thing, we're like, okay, we're going to have to do a little extra self-care. So we had to sit for, a week and a half or so? That's all it took. God's like, oh, I need to get back up again because he needs to work on this, that tailbone. So that's what, all the muscles and stuff back there, because the thigh muscle, right, y'all get the picture. Okay, this is real talk. Okay, you're on this journey with me. But the good news is I ain't got to go do that no more. God said this is never going to happen again. Oh, you bet your bottom dollar it won't. We ain't going to let it. Well, I don't, but something, I don't think it was so much bumps because, let's see, how can I put this? Well, see, God kept my subconscious awake, right, for the whole thing, to take notes because he knew I was going to have to do a forensic analysis. But I don't know that I would consider it. I'm trying to think of, oh, goodness gracious. See, I have my massager right here, but I was thinking that might give no, that's not a good example on those right there. Because she's physically weak. So, and not only that, the stairs are carpeted. Remember, I had no carpet burns. So there had to be some kind of a sheet, a blanket, something. So that means that whatever it was that was used to put me on so that I would not have any carpet burns, because carpet burn on the backside would have given her away big time, wouldn't they? Yeah. But even she tried to pass off the story that I fell down. No, that did not match. That did not match the areas of injury. It did not match. No carpet burn. I would have had some somewhere. So there you go. And exactly. You know what? I don't know about that. God revealed to me that she waited till whatever it was I got dragged down on. She waited until that turned me over and took the. Let me show you. Let me show you. Because God revealed it to me. And I was like, I see the shape of that. I see the shape of that wound on the back of my head. Right? I see it. Right? I have a mirror, whatever, and I took a look, and it's like a little, like a half moon. And I thought to myself, that's a very unusual shape for a little head gash, whatever you will. But that's what it was, just a gash. And so I asked God, I was like, so what in the world was used for that? And I remember when I went, I bought dishes and things like that when I moved in here, and he had me get a set of these for some reason, right? I would usually not go for this type of glass, but he had me get them. So I was looking at the shape, and then God brought this to my remembrance, and I went, oh, because if you that gives you the shape of what, right? A little half moon, right? There you go. And that matches the shape of the scab. That's pretty much gone almost now, but it's pretty small compared to what it was. But the shape. See, that's a forensic analysis right there for you all. And so God told me, okay, because when I went back there to get my stuff, trace evidence. Okay, you all, there's a term called trace evidence. There was no trace evidence of blood on the stair where she claimed that I whacked my head. And the shape of the wood that I supposedly whacked my head didn't match the pattern. So I was like, that's not right. Because there's no trace whatsoever of blood anywhere. No trace evidence, none. So I'm like, okay, that doesn't ring a no. That's not fitting right. So it wasn't until I got in here though that God revealed to me, because that's the pattern that matched. But I didn't have anything like that would have. Oh man! So that means that she had to have rolled me over, and it would have taken probably several tries to put a little gash. I mean, because it's not very big. It was a little gash, just enough to put a gash there, and claim that I fell down. And yeah, so there you go. Some additional detail, but the rest of all of that is on the Patreon channel. Of course, there would have been no glass shards. She would have cleaned that up, right? Because I'm in the hospital overnight, so she had plenty of time to clean all that up, right? Right, she did. Oh, listen, y'all, these narcs, when they pull this kind of stuff, they are going to make sure that they don't leave any physical evidence. Think about it. That's why not all narcissists are physically abusive, because they don't want to leave evidence. While she is physically abusive, and I know she abuses her pet because I was watching the control and I was watching her pet's reaction. Oh, listen, y'all, God take care of that. I ain't got to do nothing. But yeah, she had plenty of time to clean that stuff up. All right, but that was a major attack on my autonomic nervous system. So as you can see, throughout this time, from the end of June of 2023 to now, November of 2023, you all have witnessed God in action. You have witnessed the Godhead healing from within. You are witnessing exactly how God works in his chosen one when we trust him. Now, again, discernment, of course. Okay, discernment. Because they got to pay attention. The fact that they have to remember, right, the rules of the spiritual realm. Also, when I talk about that on the Patreon channel, right, where they have to tell the truth first, right? Okay, well, that's what they did. They had to tell me the truth. And I saw my paperwork. Acute. And they did not administer anything except whatever that substance is that we have to have for an x-ray. That's it. That's all. I looked. But they did not administer any drug. I didn't need them. Still don't need them. Yeah, even Columbo would have seen right through her story. Yeah. And he's just an actor. Exactly. So, we learned that, listen, if people drop off, they don't want to hear story time, they don't want to stick around because I just gave you the inspo, right? That all this time I've been getting up here, right? And getting with y'all, and you've been witnessing God in action, the God Spirit in action, how he heals from within. Many of us are living proof. Because all I did, because I can't see, I can only, right, because there's a thing called a sink in between me and the other mirror. So I can only see so far. But when they tried to tell me there were no staples, when I remember feeling I was awake, the subconscious was awake, and I felt the staple gun, I was like, hold up a second, that can't be right. So I waited a few months or whatever, got settled in here, and made the decision to go to a local clinic and have it looked at by a professional because, well, I wanted to know. I needed a second opinion. Are they there or are they not there? They claim that they're not there. Okay. Well, it's just talking about like dead skin, scar tissue, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I still have questions because this one right here feels a bit. Yeah, it feels like a staple kind of, but I don't know yet. We're giving it time. But God told me not to go back into any of those places because what they tried to do was tell me I got something I know I don't have because remember, right? Because he tried to point out something about, exactly what we know about the eyes and the genitals, right? Well, as we learned about, right, with your parasympathetic and sympathetic divisions of this autonomic nervous system, right? Well, and the parasympathetic side, what? Okay, your your reproductive system increases blood flow. That's what that's for. Your sympathetic division decreases blood flow. What does that do? If our blood flow is decreased, that means our oxygen circulation is decreased a little bit to those areas. Because if blood flow is increased, that means we have more oxygen going to those areas. So for the eyes, if there's not enough oxygen getting to them, you might see a little bit of redness going on here and there. And that's all it's from. God revealed that to me a long time ago, like with the ex-psycho roommate, when he was trying to rig up all that radio frequency, because that's what it does too. It interferes with your oxygen circulation to certain parts of the body. And so that professional, when I told him that, I said, I'm guessing that. I said, I believe that lack of oxygen getting there. And he goes, oh, no. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. No, because he wanted to try to turn me into a human lab rat. Nope. We saw right through that. But they did take some blood. And so God revealed to me when they did that because they could tell. See, the enemy could tell. Oh, I saw the dead eyes. I saw the, oh gosh, yeah. And I got the evil smirk for a smile on my way out. So that's right. And because of this, the enemy could tell that we are healing nicely, right? That our nutrients are increasing. Oh, well, the enemy says, we've got to try to set her back a little bit, because what we do when we're a little anemic is we don't necessarily make the best dietary choices. The enemy knows that. That's why he likes to keep most of humanity a little bit anemic. Let that sink in. Okay, you saw a couple of the hotel videos where you felt there was something wrong, but okay, well, now you know. Now you know. Yeah. Right. Altitude, right? Okay, symptoms, exactly. Symptoms that are similar to altitude sickness from lack of oxygen. Okay, that's right. That's why you have to be very careful with that discernment between altitude sickness or anemia, because they both will have similar symptoms. And you did suspect there was something electric in the atmosphere causing it. Exactly. Radio frequency. Yep. And so, right, we just got to learn to reduce our exposure to it. That's all. And yes, we can do that in a number of ways. So just know, yeah. And so now I want to dive into the other reason for the over tightening of the bra. Because I quit smoking, right? And the enemy knew that. Listen, y'all, I go more in detail about a lot of this on the Patreon channel, okay? Because God reveals a lot to me. But this is the other reason why, because what the enemy was hoping to do by over tightening there, what's right here, right? Yeah, your lungs, right? Underneath that rib cage, your lungs. And what's in those lungs when you smoke cigarettes? Oh yeah, yucky stuff. Yeah, a bunch of chemicals, right? Metals, because your little alveoli, I believe is how you say it, little sacs holding a little bit of that mucus. And what's inside that mucus? Yeah, a little bit of that metal toxicity. And that's what causes a little bit of discomfort. It's the metal toxicity, y'all, not the mucus. Not the inflammation does not cause pain, because if it did, I would be right now in a certain part of my body because it's a little warmer. It's not the inflammation. It's the metal toxicity, the metal molecule, better yet. And so inside that mucus, that metal, because when you quit smoking, eventually that stuff's going to work its way out. And so what a lot of people would get tricked into thinking when they see that green stuff in the middle of that green stuff, that's from the cigarette. That's metal. Yeah. But the world convinces them that means that they've got some sort of thing that doesn't exist. So anywho, right? And so as we're getting that out, because we're getting the metal toxicity out, the enemy was trying to get us to hold on to it. But just to show y'all how stupid the enemy is, right, because we wanted to see if more, right, the more radio frequency, exactly, okay, because the metal molecules are not lipid soluble. So they'll hang out for a while. They'll hang out for a while and cause some pain and discomfort. That's what the enemy wants, pain and suffering, right? But see, when we're aware of this stuff, so as far as any level of pain being experienced, very minute. And chosen one tend to have a high tolerance anyhow. And so we know what it's coming from. When you are aware and you know that, okay, that just let us know where another mucus pocket. For example, right, down here on my left, I don't know what you call that. It's not the heel, but it's the back side of it. Yeah, so a little every once in a while, and God revealed, I was like, how is that mucus pocket going to work its way out? Because I know that there's one there because of a little bit of a discomfort, right? So I was like, okay, but I was wondering, I'm curious. I'm like, well, how's that one? Because I feel the ones working their way out that way. Okay. But this one over here, I was like, how's that going to work its way out? Because those mucus pockets with the metal molecule inside, they gravitate towards areas of injury. Yeah. Mobile. Okay. I talk about the cell phone towers. That's a good, yeah, good one right there. I did at one time roll my own cigarette, and it just, I don't know. It was an experience. I had the machine and everything, but eventually, I just, whatever. Okay, mobile phone math. Okay, cell phone towers, same thing. Okay, yeah, those do put out quite a bit of frequency. Yeah, absolutely. Electrical fences put out frequency. Oh my gosh. Every time you hear a siren, that's putting out frequency. Every time you hear a beep, 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 as a vehicle backing up, that's putting out frequency. It's all around us. Oh yeah, it's all around us. Every time you honk, that's frequency. Oh, the list is long. Basically anything that makes sound, including us. When we speak at a certain frequency. About singing, right? That's right. It's frequency. On the spiritual side of things, that's frequency. Music, right? Putting out frequency. So you see, we're all around it. And so the enemy wants us to have mucus pocket that will house the metal molecule. Now, you will learn more about this on the Patreon channel too, Chris. If you haven't already, you will. There's two primary substances that contribute to the formation of mucus. Salt, sugar. This is why when God had us do the dietary reset, we got some stuff to be donating. Because remember, here in the beginning, I was, not making very good decisions. I started looking through some stuff. And I noticed in some stuff, added sugars. Oh, that's got to go. The sodium level is higher than the potassium level. That's got to go. One little can of crab meat, 680 milligrams of sodium, got to go. So, yeah. I mean, not that I wish that upon anybody else, but I also know that not a lot of people are going to understand what I'm talking about here. They're not going to even, it won't even register with them. Because they don't know that they're being poisoned by radio frequency. They don't know. And many of them are not going to want to believe it because, oh, but I gotta be on my device like all day. No, you don't. You don't even have to have your notifications on. Oh, that would be another thing. Yeah, y'all. That God revealed it to me on my walk today. I'm holding my phone, right? Mainly for the time. I've got my protein shake over here. And we're walking, right? It didn't affect me, but God said, aha, another way to get small bursts of electrical shocks. Notification, even if it's on silent, because it does what? It vibrates. It's another battery operated device. Think about it. So we're sitting there, right? We got our phone, and we got, let's say we have notifications turned on for every social platform we're on. And so we're scrolling, right? Notification, buzz, notification, buzz, notification, buzz, notification, buzz. Shot, right? Going through the body. But a lot of them are unaware of it because there's more salt. This is the thing. God revealed it to me that when there's more salt in my body than is needed, we can't even taste the salt anymore. And so, what did that tell us? You can't even taste the salt anymore. You just continue to consume, right? So you won't even know notification, bzz, notification, bzz, notification, bzz. You won't even know that you're being electrically shocked. No pun intended. Do literally get on your nerves. That no, right? No pun intended, right? Yep, you get a lot of supposed. Exactly. This is why we learned we got to read ingredients. We've got to read ingredients. Yeah, I remember that, learning about that too, Chris, having less toxins in the loose tobacco, supposedly. Who really knows, right? What do we know? Yep, the air is full of sound frequency. Ambulance, fire engine, that's it. That's it right there. And then, yes, we get a lot of alleged organic stuff like yogurts and things. You got to watch out for the added sugars and artificial sweeteners. God did not design our body to digest artificial stuff. It's only going to digest all natural first. And so this is why, and he revealed to me, I somehow overlooked it. Well, not somehow, we just simply overlooked it. That there were some corn syrup solids in some of the junk that I was consuming, apparently, unintentionally. But that's okay, because God said that. We're going to get to that. Because what will happen now is we don't take any more in. Okay, that's right. We don't take any more in, but we have increased protein and potassium and other nutrients, right? And so by doing that, we're now at a place where I actually, not to gross y'all out, but I actually, one of those, finally worked its way out. And when it came out, and I have spit it, I tasted the salt around that mucus pocket. I was like, oh, that's a lot of salt. Oh, man. So now I can taste it. So Right. So it's lessening. And for anybody who wants the tips, I've been monitoring my daily intake since Thursday of sodium based on what I know. And it's always going to be an approximate. So for anybody who may be experiencing that and you found out that you have too much salt in your system, okay, basically what you want to do to get it back to normal is you want to reduce the amount. You're not going to be able to take in 0 milligram of sodium every day. That's just not possible because there's salt in our meats as a preservative. It's in stuff. Okay. So basically we want to manage the amount that we are ingesting on a daily basis. And when we do that, you're going to notice that you'll be able to start tasting it again. And then, right, you might even notice that your finger stuff starts to, okay, and then when you wet your hands, they're real slippery. Okay, be mindful of that because that's all a trick from the enemy, because a lot of people who would not be aware of themselves in such a way that they would be doing dishes, right? Unless they got some sharp object down in there. The hands are all nice and slippery, right, from all that salt. But they don't know that. They're not aware of it. What are they going to do? Oh, yeah. Be a bit more accident prone. Let that sink in. And so I got to share something else with y'all. Does the body create its own salt? You know what? While I'm sharing this, let's look that up. Because that is a really good question. Okay. Let's look that up. All right. God revealed something else to me. Remember I told y'all about the Jezebel putting the knives in the drawer, blade side up, which, duh, I'm not going to grab a knife by the blade anyway. But anyhow, all right, I know that's bizarre, but there was something else that they were all doing. And I noticed it, and I was like, that's really strange. But I didn't really piece together any dots until I got in here, and I found myself doing the same thing in this dishwasher. Well, we since then knocked it off. Right. And so, silverware. Okay. This comes from, I'll get to that in just a second. This comes from, believe it or not, fellow warrior, this comes from a site, saltassociation.co.uk. Okay, salt and the function of our cells. It says sodium is an essential nutrient, but it's something that the body cannot produce itself. It plays a vital role in the regulation of many bodily functions and is contained in body fluids that transport oxygen and nutrients. Okay, right. If you've ever tasted your own blood and it's salty, well, that makes sense. Okay, so the body does not produce it itself. This is why you are going to take some in. You need to. It is also known to be a necessary electrolyte. Okay, but we're talking about if you know you, and you know that you've got too much in there and you want to get some out. You want to get your level back to normal for you. Okay, I started this past Thursday, which was, let me look at my tablet, the 16th, right, the 16th of November of 2023. Okay, so I started, tears and sweat can be salt when we've got too much salt. And I will go ahead and I want to share some stuff with y'all here because I remember this when God revealed it to me. Why we have stingy feet, too much salt in the body. Because I did not have, when I was adhering more to the blood type diet previously to deviating from it, right? And I was taking salt than I used to, right? Okay. I was taking in less salt, stinky feet went away. I didn't have stinky feet for a long time. The whole 4.5 years, I started taking in too much salt. Now I got stinky feet again. There's a connection. All right, anyway, back to the dishwasher. In that environment, because you know how the silverware tray, right? Okay, you got silverware tray. And I understand the concept of putting some utensils, in the upright position. I can understand that. But forks and knives, why would you put those in the upright position and not down? Because I noticed it, that they did that all the time. And then I got here, and because of, social influence, learned behavior, right? I caught myself doing the same thing. And I was like, wait a minute, why am I doing that? Why do people do that? Why would we put our silverware, the sharp silverware, right side up? Like a knife with the blade up, a fork. And I thought to myself, okay, they must have been taught that. Something must have, yes, God revealed it to me. Said that because when they were kids, their parents did the same thing. Had them put the dishes away and do what? Kids, what? Yeah. Just go and grab, right? Ooh! Grab that silverware without even really looking at it, right? What happened? They got traumatized. So them trying to do that, they were trying to get me to do it. They were trying to get me to be accident prone somehow. Never forget, these narcs relive their traumas, y'all. Hey, I'm being honest, because I know the stinky feet gonna go away again. Oh yeah. Well, let's see. Let's look that up. You know what? I don't think so, but let's find out, shall we? That's another good question. I mean, it affects all of our. Okay, this comes from your National Institute of Health. Okay, that doesn't. Stop with the word salad. Okay. Now they're saying here, this is Biomed Central saying this is August 28th of 2021. It says that a high salt diet can cause liver injury by producing excessive reactive oxygen species, which is also known as ROS, and then via enzyme signaling. So it can cause it. But I would imagine, here's the thing, it can cause. That's your key right there. So what we want to keep in mind is it's possible. But if we catch it in time and start doing things to mitigate, meaning benefit, helping our bodies get rid of. And so what have I been doing? That's right. I've got a waistband that's helping the sweat come out. Right? Exactly. I've got oh goodness. Well, the diet, really. So let me share with you all some examples. This is for anybody else who may be wanting to do that, okay, to reduce the amount of salt so the excess can get out and you can get your body back to its normal level, So now Thursday, I just wrote down the amount approximate that I took in for the day, which was a decent amount under 1,000, which is how I usually am. Because that day, the way that I ate per blood type diet is what I used to do, what I was doing before all the crazy making took place. And so for Friday the 17th, I wrote down what I had. Okay? So I had 1 egg, and I had acorn squash soup, I believe it was. Yeah, because I hadn't made the new butternut yet. And then I also drank a glass of my homemade veggie juice. All natural, nothing added. So the 1 egg has 65 milligrams. And then, actually, that's not even right then. If it's 65, 1 egg. And then in my soup, 5, roughly, at least 70. And then maybe with all the different vegetables, that would have been 80 with breakfast. All right, then for lunch, I had a tuna salad, lettuce wrap, and a glass of my mango juice, all natural. And so with the tuna salad, I had to add in the fact that, okay, what the sodium in the tuna, I had to estimate the sodium that was already in the tuna, in the mayo, and then in the mustard, honey mustard that I also added. The pickles. And now, mind you, I finished the pickles. That's on the avoid list, so guess what? We don't buy no more. God said, go ahead and use up what you got for the tuna salad, but after that, we're not going to put any more in there in tuna salad going forward because we've got the all-natural herb dillweed, just to give y'all a little perspective. So that's what we had there. And then for dinner, I had some of the beef, zucchini, half a sweet potato, butternut squash soup, and black-eyed peas. So it was butternut soup. Or no, that's the day that I made a fresh batch. And so I ended up getting, okay, you see, beef, zucchini, sweet potato, butternut squash soup, and black-eyed peas. And so that basically was about 100 milligrams of sodium intake for that meal. For the whole day, it was 450 approximately. Okay? And so that's what we do, right? And so basically what God's got me doing now, that's for y'all. That's a tip for y'all. Okay, I'm sharing what we're doing so that you all can put it into action as well. Because it helps. I mean, it gives you an approximate, but it's going to help God help you make better choices. And you look at the ingredients list, you look at the sodium count, and remember something, it's per serving. So what God has me doing now, and I'm finding out that my Tabasco sauce that has 35 milligrams of sodium per serving, okay, and that would be a teaspoon. So I have the teaspoon, measuring spoon. And so I used that this morning to put it on my 1 egg. And that was way more than enough. Way more than enough hot sauce for circulation. So in likelihood, when I used to just dab a little bit here and there, it's likely I was only getting about a half a teaspoon. That was pretty spicy. So I had a nice thing going on this morning, waking up. Boiled egg can taste a little salty. Well, that's because eggs do have salt in them. Okay? They do. So that's why I don't put salt in my water to boil. In fact, I don't have any salt. Garlic powder is my salt. So, but that would be, yeah, eggs do have salt in it. And so when you think about the fact that the boiled eggs do taste a little bit salty, if you can taste the salt in the egg, then your sodium level is exactly where it should be if you can actually taste it in the egg. Worcestershire sauce, I did. And then I had to go back to my blood type diet list. And I don't anymore. Yep, it's like an avoid. So, okay. It is what it is. Because I made the decision, God and I had that talk, and I said, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to do the dietary reset, we got to be all in or not at all. There was no in between anymore for me. Talk about some serious self-discipline right there. Because I said, we ain't doing this again. Not going, because the experience could just, all right, listen, being on the blood type diet about 93% of the time for 4.5 years is a long time for a body to get used to, right? And so, right, and then just how quickly in over 1 year, not even 1 year, how quickly all of that hard work can be undone. That was an eye-opener, I have to tell you, just how quickly all that hard work of staying on that blood type diet, really reading labels, all just went out the window because, that's right, I was anemic. So when we are anemic, again, for those who need them, we're going to eat whatever we can. We're not going to make the best dietary choices. The enemy knows this. Again, that's why he needs to keep as many out there a little bit anemic as possible. Okay. Well, then if you can taste the salt in those eggs, then you're good. I mean, you're not adding any, right? That's the thing, is that when we see, for us, we look at the sodium content, and if it's got that sodium in it, we're not going to add nothing. We don't add salt to nothing. In fact, I don't know, because there's enough in a lot of the stuff that we buy already, especially in seafood, right? Okay. So, yeah, scrambled eggs. That's pretty much what I do, is I take the one egg and I whisk it up real good. I have a 1 egg pan, and I don't necessarily scramble it, but I just cook the egg, put it out, and then a little hot sauce. There you go, with a bowl of all natural, whatever soup I made. So for right now, it's butternut squash soup for the nutrients and potassium. So basically, the whole gist of helping your body rid of excess salt is to increase your potassium intake, decrease your sodium intake, but make sure that you're getting, other nutrient stuff as well, your vegetables and fruits and things like that. But that will help, because we realize that, that too much salt in the body to a point where we don't taste the salt in things, that's not good. Yes, eggs do have benefits, absolutely. They got your vitamin D, your B12, stuff like that. Sure, absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with that. And so there, we've covered quite a bit, and I know that there are other tips and things like that are out there for helping the body to get more regulated with it, if you will. And so really it's just staying with it, and then being consistent, and really being mindful how much we are putting in our body now. Because I also realize that I'm not, I know the world told me that I was acne prone. God said, no, you're not. Cut out the salt. Because before I started doing this, I had a few coming out, and I was like, been a long time since I had that happen. Like that. And as soon as I started reducing the salt intake, they start going away. That's not a coincidence. Yep. There you go. Yep, we got to be careful and, be the label reader. I know a lot of people be like, what? That's too much work. But it's worth it for a healthier, listen, because the healthier you eat, the faster you heal. I got to remind somebody of that. Because we are subjected to radio frequency poisoning on a daily basis. And so to stay healed from that, eating healthier plays a big role. Because as I talk more about on the Patreon channel, salt is the conduit for that radio frequency. Absolutely. Because salt is the body's thermostat, right? So the example I used earlier, right? You have your notifications on for all the social media platforms, right? You're sitting there, you feel fine, right? The air conditioner's going, right? Okay. You're scrolling, notification, bzz, notification, bzz, notification, bzz, right? You're getting electrical shocks, right? Get enough of those going, all of a sudden you start feeling hot. Why are you feeling hot all of a sudden when the AC is going? That's the radio. This is not a secret. Radio frequency heats on the inside, which in turn does what? Because of the salt, causes swelling. See, y'all, listen. I'm not the only one that knows this stuff. I am not the only one. There are researchers out there that can verify this. And not only that, I can tell from experience being exposed to larger amount than usual at how my body responded. For example, that ex-psycho roommate, when he was rigging up all of that EMF pollution in the house. And usually, I'd be like wanting a jacket or something, right? Usually. But it was getting closer to the fall and it was starting to cool down outside. And I started feeling the internal heat from all of what he was doing. I knew what was going on though too. He didn't know that I knew. But I'll go outside and hold my shirt up and let that cool air get on there. Because the radio frequency was heating on the inside. So I knew what was up. I did listen, it's out there. It's on the internet. There's articles. Y'all can look this stuff up. You don't have to take my word for it. But God did not design our biological body to be manipulated this way. And so when God said, all right, gotta take care of this, gotta take care of that, gotta take care of this temple for the Holy Spirit. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what I was doing. I was eating potato chips. I was eating things that I normally I had not eaten in 4.5 years. And so, well, part of it, that's right, because radio frequency affects your circulation. Exactly. So radio frequency, when you're getting electrical jolts like that, it affects your circulation, which in turn, right, can contribute to the internal body temperature, because salt is our body's thermostat. Think about it, because I know myself, right, every once in a while, because I know where I'm at in this process of getting rid of. And so I could be standing there, pulling my face out of the jar, and I can feel a little bit warm, the air conditioner's on. And then about 10 minutes later, I come on in here and I can actually feel the cool. See, that right there lets you know that some of that RF is leaving because excess salt is leaving. See the connection? There you go. That some of the radio frequency is leaving, the poisoning is leaving because the salt is leaving. So that's what I got for y'all. That's to help whoever needs it, whoever's aware of it, that is. And so we've got the 1.5 hour mark. Where we at? Okay. 3:30. Going on 3:30 p.m. my time. So, but yeah, it's just a matter of knowing that let's just chat goes where it goes once we get the message out. But that salt also plays a role in your autonomic nervous system responses as well. Remember the reflex? Okay. Right? You look over here and you weren't expecting, oh, that's right, I have a blue curtain, and you jump for a second. That's the salt. Salt makes you jumpy. I got a Patreon video all about that too. Excessive salt makes you jumpy. Also giving off the appearance of living in fear when we're not. Okay. Even though the enemy can see through our eyes that we're not living in fear, during the time where my autonomic system was I had this one, took a little bit longer to stop dilating as much. Okay. I mean, there's still a dilate when you go from light to dark, but you get my point. It was doing it a bit more frequently a while back. And so I know that's why some Jezebels were jumping on to see if they could get the appearance. Not only that, never forget that when your body goes under assault like that, it's naturally going to tense up, even though I'm not tense. But now all the tension that was in the upper body finally released. And that has a lot to do with getting back into weight training. Okay? And getting rid of excess salt. Remember how salt is a stiffener? Boom! Remember the rag that I used for Epsom salt to do a compress, and then I hung it over to dry? And then the next morning it was like stiff, almost stiff as a board. I said, hold up a second. Right. So the excessive salt that was in my body was contributing to the muscle tension surrounding these areas. Oh yeah, we know exactly what was going on. And so there you go. Just to give y'all some pointers and examples, help you out. And, I appreciate y'all for understanding why I share these things. Because it's going to help somebody someday. It's helping a lot of y'all right now get a better understanding of what we are dealing with in the spiritual battle for the mind. Yeah, it's all part of. Because even though none of that re-traumatized me, no. The body itself, the physical body, yeah, that's separate. It underwent some. But our soul is still intact. We are still with the Heavenly Father. We still pick up that cross and follow Jesus. Bring y'all these spiritual truths. And then also biological knowledge, how the enemy targets our autonomic nervous system for many reasons. And mainly to keep people living in fear. Because that's what he wants to see. Even if you're not, he wants to see the appearance thereof. Because if he can see the appearance thereof, it makes him feel better. But only for a short time, because eventually, as God continues to do what God does on the inside, and we get right, God says minor setback is only a setup for a major and epic comeback, which is what's happening. Glory be to God. Yep, God said, don't you fret about that. God told me, he said, you keep going. He said, I got you. I said, I know. God said, guiding my steps. Well, I asked him, I'm like, okay. For example, do I need to put any support on there at this particular time or at this particular time? And he tells me. But he told me one time, he said, no, not for this trip, but I want you to think as though you do have them on. Okay. In other words, he wanted me to continue getting in and out of the car the same way as if I had them on. Self-care. So I still want you to be vigilant and aware, because what he's doing with me is teaching me how to move in ways that are more beneficial, because we learn when we get into God's reality that we no longer have to do things the way we used to. God knows us as chosen one. He knows that when we're feeling better, because he stepped in, yes, not long ago, because I felt myself turning like I used to, and just go la 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 la, and he said, stop. You're not done yet. So I was like, oh, because I don't have to do it like that anymore. So it takes a while to unlearn how we used to move and do things. Now, God did say, he said, it doesn't mean that one of these days you aren't going to move slightly closer to the way you used to as far as getting things done, but you won't ever have to go back to doing it in that go-go mode. That's what he's trying to teach me. So for somebody else, that might be what he's trying to teach you too. Yes. The stiffened material salt crystals. Yes. There you go. And then mind and body awareness and integration. Exactly. It's that mind, body, spirit connection that we have to have in God's reality. And so we're going to wrap it up with that for today. I've got a couple other things I want to get to. Oh, that's right. You're going to, weekly content that goes up in the academy. That weekly content that goes up in the academy. Okay, every week. And we want to get y'all some more messages and some other things. And so don't be surprised to see me over on IG after a bit. Okay? Because I got another message. And usually when we go live on Instagram, you all, it's not for very long. Typically. At least right now. Okay? Because I know that the enemy is trying to make me think that I'm being suppressed. And God said, no, you're not being suppressed. You're being progressed. All about changing that thinking. There you go. All right. So for anybody who has any other questions, if you drop those in the comments on the replay, I will get to those as soon as possible. We're not going to leave y'all in the dark. Okay. So even if I don't get to it right away, we will get to it. All right, everybody. So there you go. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance. That's right. Where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true techniques, and more. That's right. At BHA Academy, btbw.com, and here. You can find that Academy link in the video description below for quicker access to check out what we have there for you all to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.